Good morning. I am joined today by Jim Coriddi from Ricoh USA. How are you, Jim?
I'm doing okay, Andy. How you been?
I am great. Sun is out here in Rochester. It's actually kind of a nice day. I'm guessing you are probably at home in New Jersey somewhere.
Very much so. Yeah, I'm in my home office, and I've been that way for, like everyone else, since probably early March. Ricoh had its shutdown started, right at the beginning, and so we've all been working from home for quite a while now.
It's crazy time. So you're right in the middle of it. The epicenter of the whole thing is really on your front lawn. How's the community doing? How are your your people? How's the Ricoh family doing these days?
It's well, in speaking about when you talk about the Northeast, I actually golfed over the weekend.
Nice.
They opened that up. Yeah. No foursomes. You have to go out in twosomes, and the friend that I was playing with was on the fairway most of the time. I was in the woods, so the social distancing was taken care of. But as far as the Ricoh community, I think our folks are doing fine. We've really accelerated the communications with our dealers and also internally. Pretty much from a communication standpoint, I would say all the formal communications are probably somewhere between doubled and tripled. I always have a monthly call with my entire organization. Now we do it twice a month. The regions usually have their get-togethers. Now they're having their coffee talks, on a weekly basis. So, I think we're certainly getting through what we need to get through. Trying to, as I call it, kind of control the controllables, and trying to take advantage, if that's the word, of the time everyone has. We have the ability to have a lot more communication with not only our dealer management level, but also right on through the sales ranks. And we've really been taking advantage of that. Like I'm sure, all the other manufacturers doing a lot of training, virtual training, a lot of virtual sales meetings, and actually even built into that has been a lot of activity to contact customers and also kind of position things for when things, safely open up. So all in all, like I said, we're controlling the controllables. Everybody's very busy. I can't believe, you would think we would have all this extra time. We're not in airports. We're not traveling. We're not even going to the office. And it just seems like it's constant.
The days fly by. It's amazing how quickly they go. And all of a sudden I turn around and it's 5 o'clock already. I don't know where it goes, but it is flying. And that's a good thing, right? We're keeping busy. We talked about this before we started this recording, and maybe we can revisit it right now. You guys had a lot of big plans announced at ConvergX, and quite frankly, a lot of them seem to be very well positioned for what's going on now. Maybe this got here probably at a bad time for you, just as it did for everybody. But you were right in the middle of kind of ramping up some things that may have maybe going really well for you down the road. Do you want to kind of maybe highlight some of those things?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, Andy. It's the way I've been saying it is ConvergX and everything we did there, and that messaging is now on steroids. A lot of what we had put together in the form of programs and tools and activities that we had planned, particularly to accelerate going into our new fiscal year, which started in April, has now been, in one way, we were lucky because a lot of what we've now been doing with our dealers, there's been a tremendous amount, as I said, of interaction with our dealers that we've put into what we actually call our business continuity dealer playbook. So all that stuff has been established and is now working through our people with our dealers. A lot of the things we had planned for the first 6 to 9 months of this fiscal year, we're gonna get a remarkable amount of it done in 2 months. So that has, we've taken advantage, and we've tried to make and work with our dealers and partner with our dealers to make them more efficient during this time So when we get out on the other side, whatever that might be, everybody can hit the ground running.
Well, you guys, you have some of the bigger dealers in our dealer world, right? I mean, Ricoh is one of the vendors, I think, that has some real giants out there. You also have some smaller dealers out there. So I would imagine the needs are all over the place. What kind of flexibility, what kind of special things have you guys had to just do to adjust right now? Obviously, you're not sitting here in front of hopefully calling people up with what's your 30, 60, 90. I'm sure the conversations are very different now. What's it been like working with the dealers and, especially with, your whole team being remote now rather than at the office? Or I don't even know, does that even impact you? I mean, you're always remote, right? Because you're always on the road anyway. So maybe it doesn't matter.
No, it really has been, so first of all, as far as not calling dealers up, asking them for their forecasts or anything like that's for sure. And in fact, we have actually built a program internally that is providing incentive for our folks to complete with our dealers different types of training and sales meetings and things like that. So we've totally refocused our organization from that standpoint. But the key word you said there, Andy, which is absolutely accurate, is flexibility. We have different dealers, not only different size dealers, but geographically, you have characteristics based on the whole pandemic that are different, that are facing everyone differently. So what we've been doing, as I said, we have significantly increased our communications with our dealers to better understand what the needs are. We've built a lot of what we provide to be flexible. So when it comes to programs, for example, there are certainly not the same requirements and elements that we normally put in, but how we support our dealers that are having different types of issues. As you said, we're just being very flexible. We're working with individual situations, what a $50 million dealer needs versus a $5 million dealer. It's just very, very different.
Yeah.
And we've tried to do everything we can on that note from a very specific standpoint. And then in general, what we've tried to do with all of our dealers is to, again, increase communications, even at the national level, not only the local level. We've had webcasts where our main topic was leadership through crisis, where we brought in an expert to speak, and we kind of broke the webcast up between hearing from this expert and actually providing a forum for our dealers to share best practices.
That's awesome.
And it really was good, because a lot of things sometimes you take for granted is that, some of our larger dealers sometimes, they belong to a lot of different associations where they have a lot of exchange, where maybe some of our smaller dealers don't. And that exchange is very, very important. So, it's been a myriad of different things that we've done to support the dealers really any way we can.
Well, just shift gears a little bit on that note, and Ricoh has always been a philanthropic organization and stepped up in times. And I remember, some occasions over the years, 9/11, Ricoh had done some stuff in Times Square, and just things jump out at you over the course of my few years in this industry. Actually, you're one of the people I've known probably just about as long as anybody else. I actually had a full head of hair when you knew me.
Yeah, we all looked a little different back then.
You didn't look that much different. You still look great. I had hair. But back to my main, where I want to go with this, you see a lot of OEMs in our space, vendors in our space, partners in our space. You've got companies, helping in triage units. You've got companies airlifting giant printing presses into other places. You've got companies like you guys that are, what are you doing? Why don't you tell me a little bit about the masks and some of the other things that we're
doing. So we have leveraging 3D printing technology. It's starting in Europe, where we actually have a facility in Britain that within 24 hours of getting we'll call it the schematics to make these the big plastic protective masks that are being utilized during COVID-19. Within 24 hours, they turned the plans into actually producing these masks. And now they're producing something like 30 or 40,000 per month. They did the same thing in Japan. They didn't have the same type of facility, but same thing in Japan. They're providing all that free of charge. So that's made all of us kind of proud. You know, you feel good that you could do something, you know, like that to help this cause.
It is incredible to see the retooling of the plants, how quickly that went. We've got some companies making, you know, the paper masks. It just depends on what your plant did and how quickly can you change it over into something that either, you know, we've got inkjet companies that are now making, you know, sanitizer, and it is cool to see us all step up. At the end of the day, I think what we're really doing to contribute is, you know, taking the pressure off these healthcare organizations and helping them run. You know, they don't worry about their IT. They don't need to worry about their print. These are obviously areas where Ricoh excels and is very strong. You want to talk about healthcare a little bit before we wrap up, and maybe Ricoh's commitment to it, and just some of the ways you guys are, you know, there for healthcare and some of the other key areas.
No, absolutely. And you know, we all talk about the buzzwords, you know, the new norm, and you know what customer behavior is going to be like as we go forward. And I think most of us come to the conclusion that some of the changes are forever. There's going to be some things that even once we're out of this, to whatever degree that means, you know, there's going to be a lot of things involving the virtual worker and involving a lot of the different things that have been changing during this time that are going to change forever. We've seen, our dealers have seen, Ricoh on a direct standpoint have seen the significant increase in IT network services, where companies buying more servers and laptops for their employees so they can work virtually. Well, that's not going to go away. They didn't make that investment and then put everything back on the shelf, right? So we have to prepare for that. When you mention the different verticals like healthcare that are going to expand in so many different ways, I gave the, you know, you had asked me about what Ricoh was doing with the masks. Well, we have dealers that are doing so much. We have EBP, you know, right down the road, you know, in your stomping grounds there. Ithaca College was trying to develop these masks, try to produce these masks on existing Ricoh equipment, utilizing, you know, certain finishing equipment. And they ran into a problem. It was something that took you know, a longer time to do than they would like. EBP stepped up. They brought in Ricoh, you know, with Ricoh, we actually donated the equipment that they needed to be able to expedite. So what they were doing in producing in a week, they were able to do in a day. And EBP actually even sent some employees to help in the finishing side, just to add some, you know, some more to the effort. So there's many things that our technology, as we get more creative, we're going to be working toward, and certainly I think production is going to play into that in a lot of ways.
Well, you guys are very well positioned in that area, especially at the high end with the you know, the former IBM program, which is now all your programs. So you know, top to bottom, you're obviously very, very well positioned, but in production, you guys are one of the key leaders. You know, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you are just jammed up from morning, noon, and night at this point, and I appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me and my viewers today. Any last words, any shout outs to anybody you'd like to make before we wrap up?
Well, the first shout out, I'd like to ask about how your dad's doing. How's Lou?
He's great. He's great. He and my mom are down in Florida. He was on the happy hour, the last couple happy hours. We're doing an industry happy hour to raise money for COVID charity.
Congratulations.
If you're able on Friday to come, it's in my newsletter. I would love to have you and as many Ricoh people there as possible. Bring your own booze and just come hang out with us. And you might see my dad. You should see my dad. He'll be there. So he's great. Thank you so much for asking. He does ask about you too all the time.
Yeah, please tell him I said hello. If I
he'll watch this.
I don't hear from him on Friday. So Lou, you know, great to. I actually, just real quick, Ricoh moved its facility and we were packing everything up, and I had all these pictures. I can't tell you how many pictures I have of your dad, and I'll be sending him some of those.
Yes.
When you talk about production, he provided some of the first training Ricoh I have ever had in production. And so, always, he definitely left his mark.
I remember those classes.
Yep. So, as far as any comments, I would just like to say, on behalf of all of us at Ricoh, first and foremost, we just want to send out to the community, stay healthy, stay safe. We're all going to get through this together, and our industry is going to continue to thrive, maybe in different ways. You had brought up, from Ricoh's standpoint with production, probably where we're even positioning ourselves even better than that is with, the advent of now, we own DocuWare, a lot of what we've been doing with the cloud. Those are the kind of things that are now going to create new opportunity, within the new norm. And there's plenty of it out there. But if I had to make one comment to the dealer community, I would say, just thank you for your leadership. I talk to our dealers often, and I'll tell you, whenever you're feeling kind of down, you talk to these entrepreneurs and you get that spirit and that recognizing of reality, and then that positive energy that they apply to it. And it's awesome. And it's why we're all going to get through this together, and things as we go forward are going to continue to be, what we need them to be. So anyway,
I couldn't agree with that more. That one thing about these guys, they are all, they're as a community, I think they just thrive when they're challenged, and whether it's being a competitive thing or whether it's this situation, I think everybody had something new and untested and, dropped in their lap. And these guys, like you said, they're leaders, right? And leaders like to lead, and you're seeing some really creative stuff, and the dealers are all over the place. Some are home, some are, full on at work, but they're all fired up. And every interview I've done, nobody seems scared. Nobody seems worried. And I'm sure they are, at some level or another, but I think they just love this challenge to an extent. And I'm very proud of our industry. I think we've collectively done very well together. So
well, and thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
This is our industry is very philanthropic, and it just seems like whenever there's an opportunity, you look at all the industry news, you're always just reading about who did something else, to kind of help out a cause. So again, thank you for what you're doing, Andy. It's very much appreciated.
We will, we'll do another one of these soon, and you stay healthy and say hi to all my friends down there at Ricoh, and, good luck with the next month or two, and we'll talk to you in a little while.
Will do.
Thanks,
Take
Jim.
care.